What I want people to take away from today's risk management webinar, the three key things, are that it's all interconnected. We can't, even within our own organisations, we can't operate in isolation. We need to be looking at what our partners are doing, and not just partners that we collaborate with, but right across the piece. So everything's interconnected. I suppose the second thing is, process is important. And as an auditor, it's important to me, but more important is an understanding of what risk management can do to drive forward an organisation, to enable it to take the decisions it needs to take. And then finally, in terms of risk management and good governance, the importance of transparency, the importance of admitting that we don't know everything, we don't know the answers to all the questions, but we should ask the questions and somebody else might know the answer to them.
For me, there are three main questions that board members and members of Audit and Risk Assurance Committees need to be thinking about differently, picking up on many of the themes that we discussed this morning. The first one for me is around asking what are the new connections and networks that people need to be making to give a feed of more accurate information about what's happening in the wider system. And that's about the impact of their decisions, not just on money and resources, but on the communities and environment around them, so that they can make decisions that build long-term resilience as well as deal with today's operational risk. The second question I'd like them to consider is one around saying, who do we need to get involved in the process of understanding risk? At NRW, we recognise we cannot manage the risks facing Wales environments by ourselves. And we need to open our doors to discussions with a much wider group of stakeholders to find out how do we reduce risk through anything from product design, so people stop making things that damage the environment, to the way that we use our recreational spaces, and a whole wider thing. So risk is not the job of just a tiny group of people who sit behind closed doors periodically, but about entire organisations and beyond their walls, to the stakeholders who supply them, their suppliers, their commercial suppliers, and the groups and communities they represent. The third one is that in relation to the scale of challenges ahead of us, this is not just about cutbacks in spending, but about increasing costs, about increasing challenges relating to health and well-being, around climate change, about loss of biodiversity. We are unlikely to find the answers we need just within the boundaries of our country. And so from a risk perspective, what we must do is use our imaginations to look to a much, much wider pool of people worldwide, so that when we're sitting down with answers around risk, it's based on what not just what best practices in the next door county or the next health board, but about the best we can find anywhere in the world that right now is dealing with this situation better than we are. And then our responsibility is to share what we're doing that works with others as fast as possible. If you can do that by lunchtime, that'd be a good start.
So the key points that I'd like practitioners to take away from this morning's meeting is, let's start talking to each other. I've really learnt a lot this morning. I'm really glad I took part. And I think it just reinforces how we need to horizon scan, and let's learn from each other. Let's talk to each other, see what ideas we've got, and see if there's things that other organisations have considered that we haven't thought about. I think the key point I want to take away is about the need to change the culture. Let's start looking at risk as an opportunity. Let's use it as a tool to help us go through this period of change. We've got to start thinking about transformation, thinking about different ways to deliver services, and let's see risk management as a tool to help us do that.
What's next for the Wales Audit Office in terms of risk management is that we'll be taking the ideas that have been generated today and using those to shape two risk management seminars, workshops rather than seminars, so two risk management workshops that we'll be running in the new year, one in North Wales and one in South Wales, to take some of the ideas that we've been talking through today and develop those and get people more engaged, working around the table to try and solve some of these problems for ourselves.